what's going on? Technical difficulties, of course, even after I test things a couple times over and over again. Yeah, that's just how it's going to be when I start this. For some reason, printers and cameras, they don't like me for some reason. I'm not really sure why, but yeah, anyways, hey, for those of you who are watching this live or watching it after the fact, Starkey, Paul, PJ, some people know me by different names, but anyways, haven't done one of these in a long time, and so I figured, why not? Got a new record coming out very soon. It's called Vacuum State. Grab it quick. I should have prepared, right? Here it is. It's coming out May 16th. And it's on Android's Dungeon Radio. And yeah, I did this when Pulsar 2020 Hertz came out, and that was on Deadbeats in 2020, and I went through every single record and showed people the production process, the track breakdowns, right? And answered any questions for anyone who was live, and I'm going to do that again. Hey, Brad, welcome. Thanks for joining in. I'm going to try to start doing these things more regularly as well. I like YouTube and Twitch, and I watch a lot of stuff. I always have it on, so I figured why not give back, answer questions if anyone's interested in what I'm doing, my creative process, and yeah, this is the kind of nerdy stuff I enjoy watching. So figured why not share it with everyone else. Of course, like I said, right before I was going to go live, my camera just stopped working. This is a different camera for those of you guys who saw the test stream last week. But let's see. Let's hope everything works out. Should be good. So this is the session for the first track on the album, EP, whatever you want to call it. It's got some remixes on it. It's got some original stuff. Here, I'll pull it up right now. But this is the record. It's called Vacuum State. Art by Uno. Graphics, really cool. At least I like it. This is the front of the record. This is the back of the record. And track list is here. If you pre-order it now, you'll get 2 songs. Cannon's the one we're going to do today. And then Martian Code, which is it's a slightly different sounding record. You can listen to it now. It's there to listen to on Bandcamp. You'll get those for immediate download. And I'm going to do a breakdown of Martian Code next week. I'm hoping to stream twice next week, so like Tuesday and Friday or something like that. But check my Instagram and X and all that kind of stuff for details once I finalize the schedule. But this record has 6 original tunes, and then 3 remixes. And the remixes I will probably talk about on one of the streams where I talk about the Atmos mixing for the album, because I did do Atmos mixes for this project as well. So if you are listening on Tidal or Apple Music, you'll be able to listen to it in Atmos. So I might do a quick discussion about that. Obviously, from a binaural perspective, I can't talk about the speaker perspective because I'm in my personal studio here and I don't have speakers. So whenever I do anything Atmos in here, I have to do binaural. But I did mix this in a studio that has a full 7.1.4 system. So yeah, so this is the record we're going to be listening to today and breaking down. I'll play the whole thing, and then we'll talk about it. Real quick, the artwork looks similar to EPROM, G. Jones, Damon Vale. Yeah, it's got that face thing. I've been into this like kind of like body, like torso thing. Pulsar 2020 Hertz also had that. That was like the approach. But yeah, it's got this like face being sucked in vacuum, right? Like I go with a lot of sci-fi terms and stuff like that, space stuff for my records because I mean these tracks are mostly instrumental and the titles don't really mean anything. And I just like science fiction and sci-fi stuff, movies, TV shows, whatever. So that's where the titles come from. All right, so here let's listen to Cannons. And let me know if the levels are good. I did make some adjustments here as well. Music could be louder. And this is, of course, the little melodic output, or outro, I should say. So that's the record. Yeah, and let me just say that anyone who's joining in live, if you want to ask questions, I just fire them away. But basically, to give you a little bit of background, I've always been into like old school jungle and hardcore, and I've been kind of putting more breaks in my. I've always had them. If you even listen to like my first records, there are breaks in there, but I've been doing a little bit more kind of almost like straightforward for like the way I do straightforward music, like clubby records with breaks, but at like the 140, 142, 144 BPM. So it's like old school hardcore tempo, and also mixes with grime and dubstep, which of course I like playing as well. So I don't know. I don't hear a lot of people doing things like this right now. I'm not saying that there aren't. There are people that are still doing this stuff. There was also like a big movement in like early dubstep days where people were doing things with breaks, and and it was interesting. This is trying to sound more like old school hardcore. Another record that I really love of recent like years is the Grand 4K record, which is on Pulsar 2020 Hertz. That's like one of my favorite tunes that I've made. It also uses the Think Break. But yeah, let's just dive into it. Thanks, Brad. He says, awesome track. I appreciate that. Thank you, everyone, for joining in here. This is, let's jump into opening here. And this is a break. I find throwing breaks into Momentum is really, really fun. So Momentum is made by Big Fish Audio. A lot of people don't know about it or don't use it because I don't see people talking about it. But it's a free sampler. They want to sell you their stuff on the side here, but you can just completely ignore that stuff and throw your own breaks in. Sometimes I like it over Serato sample. It really just depends on what it is I'm trying to accomplish. But you can add individual effects. You can chop up breaks. You can have it stretch things. You can have it play through the different basically slices, or you can have it cut at the slices. So it's a really fun way of, right? I'm getting a little bit of delay because of all the processing, but you get the idea. That's like basically the opening here. I'm running it through this Phenaton plugin called Vibes. It's kind of like an RC20-esque plugin. I've had it be very buggy though, so I don't recommend this plugin yet. Again, I just could be my system, but I sometimes have issues with it. But it's a very much like an RC20 type plugin. I'm using Shade by UVI for some minor EQ. The Lo-Fi AF unfiltered audio plugin to add some more dirt grit. And again, this could have just been me throwing things on. A little bit of Basement. This is my favorite plugin, or second favorite plugin, depending on what day of the you ask me. I think it's the best sounding plugin for adding subharmonic stuff to bass, adding saturation. Normally, I only use the saturation setting, but on this one I use the overfull because it's the intro and I'm trying to distort this. And then I used Denise's God mode for just adding some compression, tape saturation sounding stuff. So without all this stuff, I mean, it's a really clean sounding break. Right, and then you just kind of dirty it up. Right. So yeah, Momentum, Basement is so good, Liam says. It is like the best. I would say Sonox Inflator might be the best plugin ever because it's kind of like a magic tool that is just always great. But Basement is my favorite thing when I'm talking to like students at school who are like, what should I spend my money on? I'm like, when it's on sale for $30 or less, you should buy it. I'm using the wind chimes from the Triton plugin here for this opening bit too. And running them through some grit. So it's basically... Right, I'm just kind of jacking up the volume. A lot of times I'll use Decapitator for doing that. Just to add a little bit of dirt to the signal. It's going through Valhalla Supermassive, which is a free delay reverb plugin. Highly recommend it. I have another reverb on. This is the Soft Tube. This is adding like the delay aspect with the feedback. And this is adding the space. And then I ran it through a channel EQ, rolling off the top end because of the harshness of those wind chime sounds. A lot of my processing here is like, if you've ever watched any of these videos I do, I tend to just throw things at the track and then subtractively remove things that I just feel, as things, start to fall apart. I did recently get a new machine. This is a Mac Studio that has 32 gigs of RAM and it flies, so I can pretty much do whatever I want with it. Let's go into the bass sound here. The bass is inactive right now because I've exported it out, and the reason why I exported it out is so that I could do timing stuff with it, make sure it's aligning the way I want it. Also, I made stem packs for the remixers of this entire project. No one remixed this song, though, funny enough. So the bass, that basically 808 bass, is being played by bass synth. And if you're not familiar with bass synth, it's a contact instrument that is made by Wave Alchemy, and it has 4 layers, and you can do a lot with it. It's obviously sample based because it's inside Contact, but you have multiple envelopes and LFOs and macro controls where you can sculpt each one of the samples and apply effects as well. There's a whole effects processing section. Obviously, these are a lot of the stock Contact effects that they've built in, and they just made the GUI look a little different. But it's easy to work with, and I really like how it sounds. So the bass here is basically an 808-ish bass that has a nice transient on it. It's going through basement with, again, just a little bit of saturate, anti-rumble, and soft clipping. Roll-offs at 112 hertz, and it's just basically adding a little bit of bottom end. Not much. I even have the shelf pulled back, which adds, with the softening, it adds kind of like a push-pull, Pultec style curve to it. Again, I'm not 100% sure what's actually happening behind the scenes, but it does a really nice job of honing in the bass. I'm using Pro Q3 here to do some dynamic processing on the bottom end, bringing out the maybe like about where the beater-esque sound is on this sample, and then I'm limiting it with just the KHS limiter, the snap. The kick drum that's layered with here is just, I use Atlas a lot for samples. I basically, this is Algonaut Atlas. It's, I believe it's ex-Serato devs, but basically it looks at your sample library and then guesses based on machine learning what those sounds are and puts them into slots. So it builds drum kits for you. And then you can keep the ones you like, and everything that it scans, it puts the sounds that sound close to each other by each other in these maps. So, for example, all those sounds have similar sounds, right? Like they have like a little bit of a whooshy noise at the beginning. They're long-tailed. So it organizes your samples. I like a lot of randomization when I'm doing drums in particular. I really don't like programming drums very much. So this just allows me to get a kit and then bang on the keys and keep things going. Hey, Jane Deere, what's up? Welcome. Hey, the Supreme Overlord. He said, I finally get to say what's up to my favorite street-based champ. Nice. Well, look, I'm glad you were able to join in. Like I said at the beginning, I'm going to try to start doing these things more often. I'm a nerd, and I like, this kind of content, so why not do it if I can? So yeah, this kick is just a kick that's being layered with the break, right, to fill in the break, and it's Decapitator to add a little bit of grit, and I'm using Pro C. We have so many plugins, right? Like I tend to use the same things over and over again. I almost force myself to use certain plugins because I forget that I have them. There'll be times like, oh, why'd you choose that? Well, it's just because, I don't know, I was just digging in there. I love the new feature in Logic where you can just like type in and search by name. That'll get me using more plugins, I think. So let's take a look at the break here. So the break is in a bus. This is a little trick also. Whenever you have track stacks and you're bouncing stems, if you put a blank MIDI region at the beginning of the track, it will bounce that bus in your stems when you bounce stems. So in Logic, if you're ever having to bounce like stems for archival purposes, or you want to make a remix pack for your friend or someone else, just put a blank MIDI region at the beginning of the bus and it will bounce that track, and then you can just basically get rid of or mute those individual tracks. So the break, let's look at that, is being played through Serato sample. I said like sometimes I use Serato sample, sometimes I use momentum, and so let's have a listen to what's going on processing wise. Again, a lot of this is just to jack up the volume and make the record sound, full, because this is driving the rhythm of the song here. So if I'll get rid of everything that's here. Someone just asked a question. I take music seriously, like jazz mentors. I mean, yeah, for me, music is like the thing I do, and some people know this about me, and I'm free to, like, I share it all the time. I've been teaching music since 2001, 2002 as well. I teach at Community College of Philadelphia right now, so if you want to take a class with me, you can. Like, I teach intro tech classes. I teach and I teach like advanced, like 4-hour-long mixing and mastering classes as well. That's just something I do. I'm like the nerd that reads the manuals is basically what I do. But yeah, I haven't read the manual for Basement though, so don't ask me questions about it. So I'm just adding a little bit of bottom end with Basement. Without it. So it's really just for that initial hit on the downbeat. And then I'm running it through the AMEC 9099. Why am I using this? Probably because this had come out, or I had just gotten it, or I just forced myself to use something else. I don't tend to use these Brainworks channel strips very often, but they are cool. Like, and they do what you need them to do. I have a high pass filter. There's a little bit of low pass filtering happening. I'm bringing out like a little, like 1.6K, so right, to help bring out the snare drum a little bit. That's pretty much all that's going on in this. Then after that, this is kind of a little bit of a trick, the filter station. So I'm basically using this filter station with two somewhat resonant, not really resonant, but resonant filters. And then I'm driving the saturation on the I/O here. And this adds that extra bit of grit and gain to boost the sample, the drum break. So I'll play a little bit without. And then with. Hear that? I'm gonna. Hear that? It doesn't really boost the volume. It's using saturation to do it, so you just get extra punch out of the sound. And this is, when I'm doing it in software, this is what I'm using. I have a Sherman filter bank as well, and you can do the same thing with the Sherman filter bank, but with an analog. This is just a digital plugin version. And sometimes I use the filter station too because it's easier, right? It's easy to open up a plugin and I don't have to route it to hardware. But at the same time, they sound different as well. Then I'm using the BX 2098 EQ. Why? I don't know. Just, again, because I felt like grabbing it and trying it to do something here. I'm boosting a little bit of that same 1.5K again, trying to bring out the snare drum a bit more. I have a shelf on the top end as barely, it's barely doing anything. And then after that, one of my favorite plugins, I wish it wasn't as buggy, Clipped Max. So this guy, LVC Audio person, I don't know, makes these plugins. The GUIs are, I mean, you either love it or you hate it. But this clipper is my favorite. The problem is that with the newer versions of Logic and some other DAWs, they don't like them. It's not optimized. So you'll see here that it shows up in my plugins as incompatible. It's like a lot of some of the Hornet stuff. So I have to load it as an incompatible plugin in my DAW because it's not signed by Logic or it crashed the AU authorization. But the cool thing about this plugin, and normally he'll have it on sale for like less than $60 or whatever, is that it's got 4 different styles of clipping and they can all be on top of each other. So you have the kind of old school classic, what he calls the shifter clipping, and then you have stereo clipping with mid-side processing. I'm not using it on this record, but you can have the mid, which is the center channel, and then the sides be processed with different clipping algorithms. They also have a multi-band clipper, so you can create your own bands and clip them with different algorithms at different levels as well. And then they also have a master clipper. Now, I'm not using it on this record, but if I turn it on, you'll see all the different algorithms that they have available. Soft clipping, hard clipping. It's just, again, there's something special about this clipper. People ask me about like which is the one I use, and this is the one I tend to grab. It's just annoying to deal with because it's not optimized for AU. I haven't talked to Code9 in a long time, but yeah, possibly. I'm always open to collaborating with people. So here's without the clipper. We're getting some distortion because of this EQ here. And the clipper is going to control the dynamics. Look at that. So it's clipping at +2, and with the clipper on, it's at -8, and they're the same volume. So that's basically what it's doing. It's just clipping off the transient and giving us a nice full signal. And then I'm using Pro Q3 basically to notch out some frequencies that I'm not liking. So some resonances, right? If you EQ and compress and distort, EQ, compress, distort, you might start to find that there's some frequencies that are just not pleasant in the record. And especially with it, when it's an old sample. So I'm using this to notch out those frequencies. Let's listen to what those sound like. I mean, this might be annoying. So, sorry though. Right, so that frequency. And then there's this one. Right? I don't know how much this is coming across in the stream and how you're listening, but if I take it off, yeah, you can hear it up there. It's annoying. Let's play it again. Come on. It's gone without it. Ooh, I'm gonna do an octave down. Ooh, you hear that pitch, right? Dude, it's really annoying. Put it on. Hear the difference? So again, this is like really, really nerdy, nitpicky stuff. But you know, if you're mixing and you're sitting here producing and you start to hear these like frequencies again, like there's not really a rhyme or reason. It's like, what does this need? Oh, what do I think I need? And then I throw it on. Oh, okay. And I clip it and I'm distorting and just, you know, saturation. And then you just get these some frequencies that just cut a little bit too much. And so I'm notching those out so we don't hear them. Without it, it could be annoying. I think it's annoying. But then when you bring this in, those frequencies get pulled out. You can hear the Pro Q over your phone speaker. That's awesome, Dale. All right, well, good. Yeah, I mean, you can hear those frequencies, especially if someone sings them, right? You can, like, hear. It's just rough. So I'm having variations of the break here, and this will be because of just changing the processing. So instead of, like, doing automation to the processing, I will just create a new track. A, because I can, and B, I don't know, it's late. I'm lazy, and I just... instead of having to automate a change, so what I'll do is I'll duplicate it out and make the change. So you'll see it's all the same plugins, but they might be in a different order, or something may have changed for that section of the song, just with the other instruments that are happening around the record. And then at the end here, I just added a little bit of a, like, maybe this was at the very end of the tune, you know, I'm like done, and I'm like, you know what, the drums just might be a little bit too bright, and I just pulled them back a little bit instead of going into every single track. Now, in between the beat, there's this other break happening, and I think it'll be interesting to hear what that's doing. So let's solo that. Now, this has just a high pass filter because I don't want any of the kick in there. So this must just be doing some like percussive stuff in between the beat. Let's listen to it in solo first. Oh, my buddy Ryan Schwab is calling, but you should check out his plugins too. It's Schwab Digital. Yeah, his clippers are really good. I think I did this record before I started really using those, but yeah, anyways, I gotta give him a call. So yeah, that's just filling in. Barely noticeable in the track, but it's just doing a little something there to fill in the sound. So that's the main, you know, guts of this. Of course, there's all this junk here. I mean, this record is 70 tracks, but it doesn't really need to be that. I just throw samples on, you know, to make transitional elements or things that are happening, like, you know, this bit here. It's not just that, it's all this. Sorry. Again, I could have, you know, sum thing these together or put them on their own tracks, but they might have their own processing on them. If you want to, you know, we can do breakdown of those things as well, but I'm going to go through the main, you know, guts of the record here first. So this transition, I just took two of the hits and stretched them out. I'm using one of the stretching algorithms. That's the tempo phone flex mode, which just sounds kind of gnarly. So you can see I muted the original break, stretch these out, and then of course there's layers of other things happening here that are just filling in all of that. So if I just, whoops, all sorts of weird just stuff happening. And then we get into the first real melodic section. So where do I start with? All right, so a lot of this is the same MIDI here. So this looks like there might be different automation, but these are the same notes. So the notes are being played on this stack of instruments here, and it's all being a bunch of them are being bussed into this thing I call spooky synths, and then the rest are standalone. And again, no rhyme or reason to this. probably when I'm writing, I'm just like, it's not doing exactly what I want it to do. Let me add something else in. So that's what I do. So let's look at the memory Moog is first here, and this is the Cherry Audio memory Moog. Now you can hear it's really, really distorted, and it's actually it's more compressed. Like it's just the noise of the instrument and the sound of the transient and everything is just kind of smashed. I think a lot of that is actually happening because of the talkback limiter, the Cornef plugin, and I have a feeling that that's what's causing this. So if I pull all these back, let's listen to it without any of the processing. Oh, thanks, Dale. I'm glad you were able to join for a little bit. This will be archived up here, too, so you can watch it back after the fact. I am planning to stream again next Friday at 2 o'clock. I might do another one earlier in the week if my schedule opens up, too, because I want to do every track on the album, plus also an Atmos discussion. So, yeah, just check the socials then. So that's the memory Moog without the processing. Again, all these things are just trying to get the record to do something that I just feel like it needed to do. As you can see, there's all these different instruments being layered together. So I'm sculpting out the frequencies from each individual instrument that I don't want in this one sound, right? Like all of this sounds like one big synthesizer. Right? So it's like almost like mixing drums. You don't listen to the drums by themselves. You listen to the drum mix. So you can spend 2 hours EQing a snare drum, and then when you turn on the overheads, you're like, well, that sounds like crap, So like that's what I'm worried about here, is just getting these to sit nicely together. So the memory Moog here. Let me turn off the group processing too. You can hear lots of... So it sounds nice and clean. I love that modulation, the pitch modulation. Using shade to EQ. Bring out a couple frequencies. It's a little bit of automation written. I like shade. I like Pro Q as well, but those are my two main EQs that I use. I have the micro shift on here to add stereo. A little bit of compression. And this is for the sidechain. So you're not hearing anything happen, but at the end here, there's something that's triggering a sidechain on. So it's audio 9. Oh, it's the break. Yeah, so the break that is the transition break is triggering the sidechain. So you can see right at the end there. Hey Yo-Yo, welcome to the chat. You said, I love ephemeral exhibits and eardrums and black holes. Thank you so much. Eardrums and Black Holes just had its, 15th anniversary this past week? I'm getting old. Yeah, so after that, there's a gate as well. What am I doing with this? You have to apologize. I have to apologize. I'm having the worst seasonal allergies I've ever had in my entire life this week. My voice probably sounds wild too. So this gate is probably being used so that it cuts off this tail after the end of the phrase. That's all. Alright, so let's check out this other one here. This is just a Triton synth. Yeah. You're barely hearing this in the mix. I probably just left it in because I was like, oh, I spent time making it. Alright, let's look at this one. This is the 3200 Korg emulation by Full Bucket. This is free. If you don't have it, grab it. I know that one company that just made an emulation version. Is it Cherry Audio that made an emulation of this? I don't own that. But This is the free full bucket one. And this is kind of just doing a square wave thing. So the 3 together so far. Right. And then we have the squares. Actually, this is the SQ80, sorry. Yeah, but it's square waves. This has some LFO modulation on the filter. I did automate something there too. So that's adding a little bit of rhythm. Let's keep going with this stack. So this is called New. And this is the PPG wave. So adding another layer in. Then the Poly KB3. This is a fantastic emulation by Zilslab. And if you don't know this, it's great. It's a stereo version of the hardware. So we have the hardware at Community College of Philadelphia, the emulation or the clone that what's the name of that Japanese company? The ones who make the Decker's Dream too. It's called the Kajimi, but Black Corporation. Sorry, they make a clone of the original, but it's mono. I prefer sometimes the plug-in because it's stereo, and I just like it. So this is the Poly KB. This is adding a lot of the stereo width, modulation in here. Someone in the chat, the Supreme Overlord, said, you've been marching the Starkey bass drum since Marianne Hobbs. So, are you referring to the Generation Bass thing, or the special, like that, or the thing where we built the song in like 3 hours or whatever? Which one was that? Which one are you referring to? Because we did like around that time I did 2 things with her. The first was that Generation Bass thing. Vexed selected me to play for that. Yeah, your YouTube name is hard. Yeah, it's good. But Generation Bass. Yeah, cool. That was Yo-Yo in the chat said that. Yeah, Generation Bass Special was a lot of fun. I don't think it's on YouTube anymore though. Like I was looking for it the other day because someone brought it up, and I mean I think I have the download of the audio, but I don't think I have the videos anymore. Maybe I have a backup somewhere. That was a really, really fun night. Really fun. Yeah, who else played that? The Joker. One Man. It was so good. Oh, the Wild Angels. That was the comp, right? Yeah, fun Planet Mew days. And then basically Serum is adding an E. So. And I added the kneeled warble just to add that pitch modulation. So without it, it's just an E. Alright, adds a little bit of tape-ish sound. So then together, these synths are being summed together. I've got the unfiltered audio, lo-fi, just adding some convolution, Soviet tech speaker stuff. I put the D-click on here probably because there was something that was popping out, like a transient or something, and I'm using the D-click RX plugin to get rid of that transient. Pro Q, dip out the upper mids where the snare is hitting. I'm using Dumpster Fire by Freak Show Industries very, very sparsely here to add some kind of noise. And if you don't know their plugins, they make crazy plugins. The GUIs are always weird. Here, let's listen to what it sounds like without that. Just a little bit of pitch warble. Alright. You can... Like if I make that extreme. And then I have an OTT at the end to really compress this synth bus. So. Now I don't know where that was. It's somewhere on there. So 7 synths to make up 1, basically. All right. Then the track goes back to the A section. Oh, that's right. Silky played that, and Cyrus played that as well. Yeah. And then the comp there was a version of Gutter Music on that. Cool. Look at you reminding me of things. Gutter Music was a fun tune. I made it, was 2007? Probably made it in 2007. I think I made it when I was still in my old house as well. I vaguely remember because I was in like the attic of my old place in Philly. Yeah, Chef too. Oh my gosh. Oh, thanks. Yeah, back then I used to use Logic and Reason and Ableton all like rewired together. So that synth could have been like some subtractor thing in Reason. That was I used Reason a lot. I still have it on here, but I don't have like the most recent version. And to be totally honest, I haven't been feeling their stuff very much recently. There's some really cool tools in Reason. The complex synth is really cool, but I don't know. I just haven't opened it. I probably should, right? So the next thing that happens is the B section comes back with the synths, but now there's a vocal. And the vocal's chopped up. It's from some random sample pack thing. And I've got it going through the Destroy Effects transverb, probably because the new versions of these had just come out. And I was like, oh, cool. I remember these plugins, the old buffer override and stuff. And I'm pitching it down a little bit. And then I'm running it through the purple compressor with 2 different ratios. Let's listen to what it sounds like by itself without any of the processing. So we can hear what it's doing. Here we go. You'll see, to bring out the accents of the voice there, I wrote the automation into the region. So, a lot of times people will use like a transient shaper, but the problem is that only does what you want it to do if there's a hard transient in the record. In this case, it's not really that hard, the transient, so I wrote it in. I basically drew in the shape of the transient that I wanted. If I bypass this, right, and just like turn it off, it doesn't have the same punch. Like I'm going for that like Britney Spears end of the world like punch. So I drew the shape in, and that's embedded into the region, so when I loop it, it gets copied. And let's listen to the transverb. It's a cool plugin. And then compressing it. little bit extra verb. And since I have the transient there now, because I've created it with the automation, I'm using a little bit of Smack Attack, which is a Waves plugin, to help bring out the transient even more. You can hear it clips it a little bit, it distorts it a little. Limiter, and then a little bit of micro shift to add some stereo width. So that's the vocal sample thing that comes in, and let's listen to it in context here. So I'm just pitching down the vocal here, and I've got a tambourine that comes in. I mean, I called it the tambourine, but it's got a snare too. And that's being layered with the original break, right, that we talked about earlier. All right, what's going on here? The bass break. So this is one of the noise engineering plugins that's just creating that bass tone. And it's going through that same spooky synths bus. And then we got the Halenko, which is a felt instruments plugin, and it's doing this. Having like ghost-like sounds, and that's being layered with the bass. Yeah. So filling out that melody. Bunch of junk here. So just create that riser. So here we got the different break, right? It's the same. It's from the same, sample, but here it's a different section, and it's being processed in a different chain, just because the different sounds in the record, slightly different processing, but. And the bass part changes as well. So the bass line changes here. And it's been exported as audio, but you can hear it's a little different. Come on. Sorry, I gotta catch up on the chat here. Recently, my wife asked me, "What's your favorite tune of all time?" Gutter Music. What's your favorite song of all time? Wow, that's thanks. I appreciate that. That's great. Pressure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Ephemeral Exhibits, and then number 2 is Lost in Space. Yeah, I love that record too. New Treasures. Wow. Okay. I get the vibe there, of those, and the connection there. It's good. I like it. Pressure number 1. That's definitely not my favorite, but cool. I don't know what my favorite tune of mine is. I'm not sure. There's one that I just made which hopefully will come out after this stuff, which I really like. And normally, you know, you're always like, oh, your new record is your favorite. That's not always the case for me, but I really, really like this new one. I really like Grand 4K from Pulsar 2020 Hertz. I don't know if this is my favorite, though. I really like the Charting Stardust album as well, which, you know, is one of my, you know, more like just kind of down synthy, a lot of like modern classical stuff and like weird synth music. I really like that album as well. I like a lot of my old stuff. You know, people are like, oh, so, yeah, there's some records I'm like, a little cringe. I don't have to go through them and be like, ah. But most of it I still enjoy. Like, I make music for myself first and foremost, so if I like it, then, you know, I'm just happy that other people like it too. Numb. Oh yeah, people really like Numb. Numb is one of the ones that gets brought up a lot. Also, New Cities is another record that always gets brought up. When I used to play shows a lot, like in that era, like 2010, 2011, 2012, that whole time, people always would ask me to play Spacewalk. It was like my most requested tune. Like, I'd be walking around in a club, people are like, you play Spacewalk? And like, I don't make much 4/4 music. And that one just people really liked, you know, for some reason. I like the tune. It just takes a lot for me to make 4/4 records, because I feel like it's a cop-out. And I've said this before. I feel like it's a cop-out because, like, you can do literally, I feel like, anything and put a pattern under it and it sounds good. So, I don't know. I feel like if I do it, I'm like, it starts to get cringe for me. 11th Hour New City is my favorite. Oh, yeah. I like, those are two of my favorites from that album as well. Bang Bang the Witch is Dead and Oldie, but I love the horns at the end. Oh, yeah, cool. Thank you. That song was in Anthony Bourdain Parts Unknown. That show on CNN. Funny, if you have not seen it. So the bass here goes back to the original bass, and the drums go back to the original part. Obviously, we now have the tambourine stays in here that I had in the break during the kind of down section. There's not a lot of downtime in this record. A lot of my tunes tend to have like minute and a half, 2 minute like breaks in the middle. This one doesn't. Even the records I did with Clyde, that like those more jungly, like 160-ish records, they have these like massive breakdowns in the middle where like very little happens. So I don't know. This one doesn't. It kind of keeps moving. Yeah, I noticed that like every single time, the break, the pattern of the transition, I should say, that's going into the next section is different every single time. It's not always the same. So like, look at here. Right? And then here, it's different again. You know, I might use one or two of the same sounds, but the rest of it is different. Here, completely different. And I'm just throwing samples into the timeline and playing around with them to see if they work or not. This is basically a copy of here without the vocal. And then we add it's another, literally an E on Serum, going through the same warble setting, and it's just hanging that note. I love that one note. Just there. bring back the felt instruments here, and then this is their piano through a washy reverb. Just a little improvisation I did at the end here. And that's the tune. It's not intense, right? Like there's not it's a lot of tracks, but a lot of this is just transitional things, and it sounds a lot simpler than it is. But again, I just wanted to point out a couple of those key things that I think are just take it to the next level. Some of the layering of the synthesizers here to create a texture where they just don't work the same on their own. And then also the drums that notching out those frequencies that are cutting a little bit too much once you do all of your other processing. That'll take the record to the next level, I feel. So yeah, I hope this track breakdown was cool. Again, all this stuff is just, EQ, a little bit of reverb, a little bit of bit crushing. They're just there to create. There's nothing fancy going on that I really want to talk about. Here's this sound effects bus, right? This is just a bunch of things that are being thrown together here. Let's listen to this. Right, just little things happening here and there. I don't know if there's any cool plugins I'm using. This Filter Freak. RC20 is on here. I really like the DVR 250 reverb, the TC Electronic reverb. This is an emulation of the old digital hardware. I'm using the reverb algorithm, but there's also a really cool chorus effect on here. I've used it on vocals as well, very sparingly, when I'm not using microshift. I do like that. Using Saturn II to add saturation is also something that I like to do. What's this? This is some string thing. Where is this? I have no clue what this is going to sound like. It's probably something really simple. Yeah, so it's just almost being used to add like a riser effect, but I'm distorting the top end. You can hear that that's going through some distortion. Oh, what's this? This is just a crash cymbal, but without the effects. This is what it sounds like. So I have it going through the OTO biscuit. This is adding the distortion. Hear that? I love that. EQ to get rid of the bass. And then I've got it going through some reverb. This is just the chrome reverb. And this whole record is barely blipping this computer. Like I said, I recently, this past year, got a... Why is it? Oh, it's on the other screen. A Mac Studio. And this thing just kind of flies. Yeah, it pretty much does whatever you want. Oh, what's up? Android's Dungeon Radio, join the chat. Yeah. I'll hold it up again. If you want to get this record, pre-orders are up now. I have it in my hand. It's a real thing. It's legit. You can pre-order the digital. You'll get this song that you just listened to, as well as Martian Code, which is a kind of trappy hip-hop-ish beat, but in my kind of style. I'll be doing a track breakdown of that next week. That'll be the next song I do. And then we'll move on to Burnt and Equinox and all the tunes on the record I'll break down. I think I'm going to try and do 2 streams next week. So just be on the lookout if you follow me on Instagram or X, Twitter. That's where I'll be posting about this stuff. I'm going to read some of the things here in the chat and maybe switch my stream here too. Look at this. I look so red. I am warm, but also the lighting. In the chat, I'm just an analog guy, jazz guitar player, but I heard what you guys were doing back in '09, and since then has improved my life greatly. You were my entrance to anything electronic dance related. Wow, that's really awesome. Thank you so much. That's the Supreme Overlord again. I mean, yeah, everyone has their first exposure to, something, some kind of music. I don't know where you get it, where you hear it for the first time. Someone plays you something, or you just randomly hear about something, or I don't know. It used to be you go into a record store and you hey, this came out this week, and you check it out. But I appreciate that. I'm glad that you've been listening to my music for 16 years now. That's great. I appreciate that. Yeah, we're playing the Black Box on June 13th in Denver. If you're in the area, that's going to be a lot of fun. It's kind of a record release party. The record's coming out in May, but that's the first show, and it's all the people that are in, some people who remixed on that project, some people who are remixers on the next project, which I don't want to tell you about yet, but yeah, there'll be more stuff. You had to deep dive. The Supreme Overlord said I had to deep dive to get into the authentic jungle stuff I didn't get exposed to. It's funny. So when jungle was happening, I was in middle school. When it first happened, and I had some friends who were in high school who were into it. They would DJ, and I always liked the music. I just didn't know what the records were. You know what I mean? They would just be playing the records, and I would have absolutely no clue what I was listening to. So that was, but I always liked the music. I would listen to their cassette tape sets, and pirate radio sets, and I was always super into it. I feel like I'm dying here. My allergies are so bad right now, guys. My voice sounds crazy, probably. It's rough. The past week has been nuts here in the East Coast. A new Starkey vinyl, a new season of Andor. Yeah, I haven't watched Andor yet. I'm still on the last 2 episodes of Daredevil, which I really liked the Netflix Daredevil series a lot. And I know this one's been really enjoyable as well. But yeah, I thought Andor was great too. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and Andor was one of the things that I've liked of the TV series. Yeah, it's awesome. I appreciate you joining the chat. So many good samples in those hidden jungle gems. Yeah, you're in Boston. It's not really been hot here. Just the weather has been so weird, and then the pollen is insane right now. I was outside earlier today, and I just feel like I have this coating in my throat. I'm taking 2 different kinds of medicines. My eyes are burning. My nose is all stuffed up. It's gross. This is the worst it's ever been. I'll just feel like we're kind of coming to an end here, but I'll just pop this up again. If you're interested in pre-ordering the record, or even getting the digital directly from the label, you can get the 2 songs now. Obviously, everyone has their ways of, listening to music now. No pressure or anything like that. I'm just making you aware that this is us pressing vinyl is basically because we want to hear it. We want to play it on record players. Someone's at the doorbell. But But yeah, it sounds good. It looks cool. I can't wait to hang it up on my wall over here on my wall. I can't show you right now, but I've got all my records. Not all of them, but a lot. Knob Twiddler, Space Trader Volume 1, Stars, Eardrums, Open the Pod Bay Doors, Ephemeral Exhibits, Angel. They're all local headlines, right? My first 12-inch. They're all on the wall here, and I'm going to try and make a spot for this one because I love how it looks. I love the art. But this is available now, Android's Dungeon Radio, and the digital will be out on May 16th as well. So, yeah, what else? I could also add that if you pre-order it, you will be entered into a drawing to win a test press that I signed as well. So I think I have. It's not important, but I signed a test press. We got like 4 or 5 test presses from them, and I signed one, and your name will be entered in to win basically a second copy of the record, because the test press is the record. There's no difference. It just doesn't have the labels and the art, but I signed a copy. So if you pre-order it, another incentive, you'll be entered into a raffle to win a test press. So that's cool too. Like I said, I will. Oh, thanks. I'm glad. It's bad here in DC. Brad says. Yeah, it's been the worst. I don't understand the weather, whatever it is, but this is the worst my allergies have ever been. You think like thousands of years of human evolution, we would be like, pollen. Yeah, that's okay. We're good. I appreciate the well wishes. All right, so this was really fun. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you this will be up afterwards. Share it with other audio nerds who like talking about this stuff and like looking at records and track breakdowns. I will be trying to do 2 next week. I just need to check out my calendar and get this in. I'm looking at Tuesday and Friday, probably around the same time, like 2 o'clock Eastern. So that's like 11 o'clock on the West Coast, 7 o'clock in London. And hopefully my allergies won't be as bad next week. But I'm looking at Tuesday and Friday, I think. But just look at Instagram or X. I have a Blue Sky too. I need to post on that. I hate those social media platforms. I like YouTube. I like Twitch. I like watching it. That's why I'm trying to like engage more there, because I actually like these things. Like I have Twitch on all the time when I'm in the studio. I like video games as well. And I always have people on. I love YouTube nerd stuff. So I'm trying to engage more with those, because I just can't stand the other things. I hate going on Twitter. It's like the worst. I force myself to do it, but I really don't like it. LOL, same. Yeah, it's just a cesspool of bad vibes. I like good vibes. I like positivity. I like, people being kind to each other. That's what I like. Cool. Well, thank you, everyone. It's been fun. I'm going to try to improve these over time, too. Make it cooler, make it more engaging. I feel like we made it through without any glitches, which makes me happy. I even have some other, like, be right backs and other things set up here in OBS, and I didn't even get a chance to use them. But I'll play the stream ending thing, and it's been fun. Thanks. Take care.